I still remember the exact moment I realized Maya Sullivan was broken in ways I couldn't see. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September, and she was sitting alone in the university library, surrounded by psychology textbooks, her green eyes scanning pages with an intensity that seemed less like studying and more like searching for answers to questions she couldn't speak aloud. Everyone knew Maya, the brilliant pre-med student with the perfect GPA and the wall around her heart so high that even the most confident guys on campus had learned to keep their distance. What they didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I had been watching her for months, not with the shallow interest of someone looking for a conquest, but with the quiet fascination of someone who recognized a kindred spirit drowning in silence. My name is David Chen, and I wasn't the kind of guy who believed in fate or destiny or any of that romantic nonsense people talked about in movies. I was practical, logical, a computer science major who understood algorithms better than emotions. But something about Maya made me want to rewrite every equation I thought I understood about human connection. She was beautiful, yes, but it wasn't her beauty that haunted me. It was the sadness that lived behind her carefully constructed smile. The way she flinched almost imperceptibly when someone got too close. The manner in which she held her coffee cup with both hands, as if warming herself against a cold that had nothing to do with temperature. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the power of one person to change another's entire world, please hit that like button. Leave a comment about a time someone saw the real you. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel because this is a story about seeing beyond the walls people build and finding the courage to reach through them anyway. I first spoke to Maya 3 months before that Tuesday in the library. It was in Advanced Statistics, a class that somehow managed to be both incredibly boring and incredibly difficult. She sat 2 rows ahead of me, always arriving exactly 5 minutes early, always leaving the moment class ended, never staying to chat with classmates or linger over questions with the professor. One day, I noticed she had dropped her student ID while hurrying out. I picked it up and spent the next week trying to find the right moment to return it, which sounds ridiculous now, but I was terrified of approaching her. When I finally worked up the courage, I found her in the campus coffee shop, sitting alone as always, working on what looked like an impossible amount of coursework. I walked up to her table, my heart pounding in a way that made no logical sense, and simply placed her ID on the table next to her laptop. She looked up, startled, her green eyes meeting mine for the first time, and I saw something flicker across her face that I couldn't quite read. Fear, maybe, or recognition, or both. She thanked me in a voice so quiet I almost didn't hear it. And when our fingers accidentally touched as she reached for the card, she pulled back as if I had burned her. That small reaction told me everything I needed to know. Maya Sullivan wasn't just guarded. She was terrified of human connection itself. Over the following weeks, I made it my mission to exist in her orbit without invading her space. I would sit near her in the library, but not too close. I would offer a small smile when we passed on campus, but never stop to force conversation. I learned her patterns, not in a creepy way, but in the way you learn the rhythm of a song you can't stop listening to. She studied at the library every Tuesday and Thursday evening. She always ordered a vanilla latte with extra foam. She wore the same silver bracelet every single day, spinning it around her wrist whenever she was anxious. And she was always alone. The breakthrough came on a rainy October evening. I was leaving the library when I saw her standing under the awning, staring at the downpour with an expression of such profound resignation that it broke something inside me. She didn't have an umbrella, and from the way she was dressed, it was clear she hadn't expected the weather to turn. Without thinking, I walked over and held out my umbrella. She looked at it, then at me, and for a long moment I thought she would refuse. But then she did something that changed everything. She laughed. Not a happy laugh, but a bitter, broken sound that seemed to say she couldn't believe the universe was still testing her. We walked across campus together that night, sharing my umbrella in silence. I didn't try to make conversation. I didn't ask her questions or attempt to fill the quiet with meaningless small talk. I just walked beside her, our shoulders occasionally brushing, until we reached her apartment building. She turned to me then, really looked at me for the first time, and asked me why I was being kind to her. The question gutted me because it revealed just how little kindness she had experienced, how suspicious she had become of basic human decency. I told her the truth. I said I didn't have an agenda, didn't want anything from her, that sometimes kindness doesn't need a reason beyond recognizing that someone is struggling and wanting to make their day a little less heavy. Something shifted after that night. Maya started acknowledging my presence with small nods. Then the nods became brief smiles. Then one day, she saved a seat for me in the library. We studied together in comfortable silence, and slowly, over weeks and months, she began to let me in. Not all at once, not with grand declarations or dramatic moments, but in tiny increments of trust that she offered like precious gifts. She told me about her coffee order and why she always got extra foam. She mentioned that her bracelet was from her grandmother, the only person who had ever made her feel truly safe. And one cold November night, sitting in that library surrounded by textbooks and the soft glow of desk lamps, she told me why she didn't want love. Her words came out haltingly, painfully, each sentence a weight she had been carrying alone for too long. She had been in a relationship in high school, she explained, with someone she thought she would spend her life with. He had been charming at first, attentive, everything a first love should be. But slowly, methodically, he had isolated her from friends, criticized her dreams, made her feel small and worthless and utterly dependent on his approval. When she finally found the strength to leave, he had stalked her, threatened her, made her final year of high school a nightmare of fear and anxiety. She had come to college determined to never let anyone close again, convinced that love was just another word for control, that vulnerability was the same as weakness, that trusting someone was the surest path to destruction. As she spoke, tears streaming down her face, I felt rage and heartbreak warring inside me. Rage at the person who had damaged this incredible woman so deeply. Heartbreak that she had spent years believing she wasn't worthy of gentleness and respect. I didn't try to minimize her pain or offer empty platitudes about how not all men are like that, or time heals all wounds. Instead, I simply asked her if I could show her what love actually looks like, not through words or promises, but through actions and consistency and respect for her boundaries. I told her she could set the pace, establish the rules, stop everything at any moment if she felt uncomfortable. I promised that I would prove to her that real love isn't about possession or control, but about seeing someone fully, accepting them completely, and supporting their growth without demanding anything in return. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Maya's healing was not a straight line but a winding path with setbacks and breakthroughs, difficult days, and moments of unexpected joy. I showed up for her in ways that had nothing to do with romance and everything to do with humanity. When she had a panic attack before a major exam, I sat with her in silence, my presence a steady anchor until her breathing returned to normal. When she finally felt brave enough to join a campus club, I celebrated her courage without making it about us. When she had nightmares about her past, I answered her 3 a.m. phone calls and stayed on the line until she felt safe enough to sleep again. I learned that love isn't about grand gestures or sweeping declarations. It's about showing up consistently, respecting boundaries, celebrating small victories, and proving through 1,000 tiny actions that you see someone's worth even when they can't see it themselves. Slowly, beautifully, Maya began to bloom. She started smiling more freely. She made friends. She pursued opportunities she had been too afraid to consider. And one spring evening, as we sat on a bench watching the sunset paint the campus in shades of gold and pink, she reached for my hand. It was the first time she had initiated physical contact, and the trust implicit in that gesture made my heart ache with gratitude. She turned to me, her green eyes clear and bright, and told me that she finally understood what love could be. Not a cage, but a catalyst. Not a limitation, but a liberation. Not something to fear, but something that makes you braver, stronger, more fully yourself. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that broken people can heal and closed hearts can open again, please show some love by hitting that like button, commenting below, and sharing this video with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Today, Maya and I have been together for 2 years. She's in medical school now, pursuing her dream of becoming a trauma surgeon, helping others heal the way she learned to heal herself. Our relationship isn't perfect because real love never is, but it's built on a foundation of respect, communication, and the understanding that love isn't about fixing someone or completing them. It's about standing beside them while they fix themselves, about believing in their strength even when they doubt it, about proving that vulnerability isn't weakness but the bravest thing a person can offer. Before this story ends, I want you to comment below and tell me, what does real love mean to you? Share your thoughts because your stories matter. Maya didn't want love because she had only known its counterfeit version, the destructive imitation that wears love's face while wielding control's weapons. But when I showed her what love actually is, patient and kind and respectful and empowering, she didn't just accept it, she flourished within it. And in teaching her to trust again, she taught me that the most profound act of love is seeing someone's invisible wounds and treating them with the gentleness they deserve. She didn't want love until I showed her what it is, and in doing so, we both discovered that the best kind of love doesn't complete you or fix you or save you. It simply sees you, accepts you, and walks beside you while you become the person you were always meant to be.